Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. I'm your host, retired NYPD Sergeant Bill Cannon, a 27-year veteran of the NYPD. We have some breaking news. Not unexpected, but breaking news nonetheless. Louvre Heist. Arrests have been made. So, whoa, what does that mean? Arrests have been made in the Louvre Heist. Well, French authorities are being kept quite tight-lipped in regards to who has been arrested, where they've been arrested, how they've been arrested, because there are more suspects out there. There is a whole criminal enterprise out there, a criminal enterprise in which we don't really know where these jewels are right now. And that is part of the goal here, of course, is to recover these jewels that are worth a reported 88 million euros, $100 million if you put it in the dollars and cents thing. A private jet sits on the tarmac at Paris's Charles de Gaulle Airport just minutes from takeoff. Inside, a man in his 30s thinks he's gotten away with one of the most audacious heists in modern history. But as the engines of the flight to Algeria spool up, a team of armed officers swarms the plane. His escape is over. This is the incredible story of how a massive manhunt, sparked by a few tiny clues, tracked down the suspects behind the Great Louvre Heist. It's a story of incredible nerve, of priceless history stolen in minutes, and the relentless high-tech police work that brought the thieves down. It all went down on the morning of Sunday, October 19th, 2025, around 9:30 a.m., just as the world's most visited museum opens its doors. A stolen furniture truck pulled up. But this wasn't an ordinary delivery. The truck was fitted with an extending ladder and lift, a piece of equipment that was the key to bypassing the Louvre's ground floor security, as you could see on the screen. Two men dressed as maintenance workers in high-visibility vests rose up in the lift to the first floor Apollo Gallery. This legendary hall, itself a masterpiece of 17th century art, is home to what's left of the French crown jewels. For most people, it represents the very pinnacle of French history. For these thieves, it was just a treasure chest waiting to be cracked open. As we know, they smashed the window to get inside, and with guards busy on the floor below, used power tools like disc cutters and angle grinders to attack two reinforced display cases. The shriek of metal on glass echoed through the historic hall. Their targets were specific: 8 priceless pieces from the 19th century collection. Among them was an emerald and diamond necklace Napoleon Bonaparte had once given to his wife, Empress Marie Louise. The total estimated value of the haul was a jaw-dropping 88 million euros, or about 102 million US dollars. So, with that backdrop, the French police have conducted an outstanding investigation. An investigation which has now borne fruit. At least 2 people we're hearing, not confirmed, have been arrested in this heist. And when you have 2, as I tell you in the police world, you get everyone. You're going to get all 4, because the other 2 are going to sing like parakeets, right? So, folks, hold on to your hats. Hold on to your loved ones. Hold on to your thoughts. Hold on to your prayers. You're about to enter true crime from a police perspective. And if you hadn't yet, hit that subscribe button. Give us a thumbs up. Share it with your friends and family. And also make lots of comments. You're about to enter the off-the-cuff zone.
There has to be some common sense.
They were the ones who called 911 to get him help, and now they're calling for change.
This is a report from a French news station in the breaking news that the robbers, at least two of the robbers have been caught.
Paris's 17th arrondissement in front of the organized crime unit. And this was the unit that made those arrests yesterday evening. And we have had a statement today from Paris's prosecutor. But I have to say that the authorities are being extremely guarded about what they're releasing at the moment. All that they're saying officially is that suspects were arrested. They're refusing to give an official figure about how many have been arrested. But there are, of course, many further details circulating in the French press today. And those are worth noting. So we're hearing reports in French media that 2 men have been arrested from the Seine-Saint-Denis suburb of Paris, and it's being reported that one of them was traveling to Algeria, and that they were attempting to do so from Paris's Charles de Gaulle airport, and also in French media, there is a report that they were discovered through DNA testing that was taking place at the scene of the crime. And just to give you a little bit of a recap of that very audacious crime that happened last week on Sunday, well, of course, it was France's crown and imperial jewels that were being targeted. And, well, the all-important question of whether any of those jewels have been recovered or not, I'm afraid I can't answer for you. Just at this moment, we'll have to wait for Paris's authorities to release more details on that, the most important topic. Well,
So, good news, but we have so many questions. Who are these 2, right? Are they part of an organized crime syndicate? Are they lone wolves? I don't think so, because there's 4 of them, right? Very interesting in regards to how they caught these individuals. And it should send a message to criminals, would-be criminals, and criminals of the past, criminals of the present, and criminals of the future, that DNA is here to stay, and it is going to get you caught. Look at some of the things that they left behind. Tools, a vest, one of those construction vests, the truck. You don't think they recovered DNA from that truck? Or absolutely from the vest, the tools. They had shots at 3 or 4 or 5 different things that they left behind. So that, in no doubt, contributed to these French police, these French investigators, in capturing the perpetrators, at least 2 of the perpetrators in this case from the heist at the Louvre. The robbery was carried out by 4 people. Louvre Bocau, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. The Paris prosecutor said in a statement that the arrests were made on Saturday evening and that 1 man was arrested at the Charles de Gaulle airport as he was trying to leave the country. It was not immediately clear whether the police had recovered any of the stolen jewelry worth more than 100 million, which included gem-studded royal tiaras, necklaces, and earrings. The arrests were a major breakthrough in the case. They came 1 week after the daylight robbery at the Louvre, which put an uncomfortable spotlight on security lapses at the world's most visited museum. The arrests were first reported by French news media, citing anonymous sources, apparently catching the authorities by surprise. According to the prosecutor, Ms. Bacau said in a statement, she said that the leaked information would hinder the 100 or so investigators who mobilized in the search of both the jewelry and for all the criminals. Ms. Bacau said it was too early to provide further details, adding that she would provide more information after the police finished questioning the suspects. And as we know, the thieves posed as workers, had used the truck-mounted lift elevator to reach the 2nd floor before using power tools to break a window and a clamber into a gallery. They then grabbed 8 precious crown jewels before speeding away on motor scooters, all in less than 10 minutes. And we spoke about how the amount of time they were exposed would definitely contribute to them not getting caught. However, leaving behind clues as they did, in this case, DNA, was very, very serious. Now, in an investigation like this, what can we expect in regards to the interview and the interrogation of these 2 suspects? Well, they can't make them talk, right? They can encourage them to talk with rather large prison sentences and present to them that if they cooperate, it'll only help them. And whether they do or not, because the big thing is that all of the law enforcement, the prosecutors, the French government, they want these jewels back. Will they ever get them back? That is a question that we all are asking right now. Will they ever get the jewels back? And who knows right now? We don't know. Could the man on the plane, the unnamed man who was arrested on the plane heading toward Algeria, could he have had some of the jewels in his luggage? We don't know. Or could he have left them behind in the hands of others that are now breaking them down? This is from BBC News.
The Paris prosecutor's office says that the men were originally from the Parisian suburb of Seine-Saint-Denis, and one was preparing to board a flight from Charles de Gaulle Airport, that is the largest airport in Paris. Items of inestimable value were taken from the world's most visited museum last Sunday when 4 thieves wielding power tools broke into the building in broad daylight. France's Justice Minister has since conceded that security protocols failed, leaving the country with a terrible image. Let us speak now to Chris Marinello, who is the chief executive and founder of Art Recovery International, an organization that specializes in locating and recovering stolen and looted works of art. Chris Marinello, thanks so much for talking to us here. It's busy morning, so sorry to keep you waiting. First of all, your reaction to the arrest initially of these 2 men.
Well, this is really encouraging news. You cannot find these jewels without first finding the perpetrators, and that's what the prosecutor believes they have 2 of the 4 men that were actually involved.
And Chris, we understand that of the jewels that were seized, the crown, one of the crowns, or the most, perhaps even the most valuable one, fell outside. They dropped it and will have broken in some parts. Do you think that there is a real expectation that the French authorities may be able to recover the rest of the jewels, or is it perhaps more likely that they have already been broken up and perhaps sold on?
Well, now is the time where the French police need to interrogate the people that they've arrested. And I'm not talking about politely asking, please, please, please tell us where the jewels are. I'm talking about some Clint Eastwood Dirty Harry style interrogation, and some deal making is going on right now to be able to.
That's all well and good. Something. The police are required to act within the civil rights of the defendant. I think France is that way also. So you can't just Dirty Harry the guy, turn him upside down, shake him up and down, and see what falls out of his pockets. They do have certain rights in the interrogation process. The interrogation process is more psychological. You can't threaten a defendant with physical force or that type of thing. You can use, what do they say? You catch more flies with honey, right? So you're nice to them. You use psychology. You try to get them to cooperate. And in this case, the most important thing is try to get the jewels back returned. And also, you want to help us? Who are the other 2 guys? You don't think that defendants rat out each other? I don't know if that's a word in France. Raton, maybe, right? Rat. You don't think they rat on each other? Of course they do. I bet through this interrogation, directly or indirectly, they will get the names of the other robbers in this case. And that's important because, again, it has been stated that a big goal of this investigation is to get the return of the jewels. So important that the jewels get returned. And that is what the police, their goal is in the interview and interrogation. And look, one thing they can use against these defendants is something called sleep deprivation, right? Don't let them sleep. Keep talking to them. keep talking to them, and that's one thing you can use, but you can't use physical threats or that type of thing. Well, if you do, you can ruin the case, and the defendants can wind up not getting charged. This is a step-by-step from ABC News how the robbery was carried out.
7 minutes. That's all it took to rob the world's most famous museum.
Ce drame a profondément choqué les agents du musée du Louvre.
On Sunday morning, 4 masked thieves pulled off a $102 million jewelry heist at the Louvre in record time, triggering national outrage and a massive manhunt. Here's how what many are calling the heist of the century happened minute by minute. 9:30 a.m., a truck with an extendable ladder parks near the Louvre's Seine-facing side. Dressed as construction workers, 2 thieves scale the ladder to a second-floor balcony. Using an angle grinder, they cut through a window into the Apollo Gallery, just rooms away from the Mona Lisa. Inside, they smash 2 display cases and steal 8 pieces of jewelry dating to the Royal French Napoleonic era. The museum's alarm sounds, alerting museum staff and authorities to the theft. The thieves flee down the ladder, hop onto 2 motorbikes, and speed off southeast towards the A6 highway. In their rush, they drop 1 piece, the crown of Empress Eugenie, which is adorned with over 1,000 diamonds. The crown was recovered on the street outside the museum, but found damaged. Police arrived within minutes and found 2 angle grinders, a blowtorch, gasoline, gloves, a walkie-talkie, a blanket, and the crown at the scene. A yellow vest, possibly from one suspect, was discovered blocks away. The Louvre was closed after the robbery and wasn't reopened until Wednesday morning. The Louvre director, facing questions from lawmakers, revealed one shocking revelation: that the only camera outside the Apollo Gallery was facing the wrong way and did not see that van arrive or the ladder resting on the balcony. It's a fact the 4 suspects may have known, and raises the question, were they tipped off by someone on the inside, or even did someone move it for them? Alarms and video cameras in the Louvre worked, she said, but because police were only alerted once the gang had already made entry, it was too late. The stakes now? French President Emmanuel Macron has vowed justice, but experts worry the stolen jewelry can't be openly sold in its current state. The fear is the thieves will dismantle these priceless artifacts, selling the jewels individually and erasing centuries of history forever.
Wow, very interesting, right? Unbelievable. So that's what the French are facing here, and they have 2 of the perpetrators, as we know, but they need 2 more, and they need to recover the jewels. And now a word from our sponsor. FanDuel's got an offer you don't want to miss this NFL season. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet $5, and if it wins, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You can build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style. FanDuel has you covered. The NFL season is here. The only question is, are you ready to play? You must be 21 years or older and present in select states for Kansas and affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expires 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbookfanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NEW YORK or text HOPE New York in New York. So, the pressure on French law enforcement was immense. This wasn't just a robbery, it was a national embarrassment. France's Justice Minister Gerard Darmanin publicly said the robbery painted a deplorable image of France. In response, a massive investigation was launched, mobilizing over 100 of the country's best investigators. The case was handed to 2 elite units, The Banditry Repression Brigade, oh, that's a great name, known for handling high-profile armed robberies, and the OCBC, which specializes in tracking stolen cultural artifacts. They faced a monumental task: find a phantom crew that had planned this attack with military precision. Investigators started with the basics, fanning out from the Louvre to trace the gang's escape routes and poring over hours of citywide CCTV footage. But the real breakthrough didn't come from a camera. It came from what the thieves left behind. In their rush, the criminals got sloppy. Forensic teams at the scene found a goldmine of evidence: a discarded helmet, a high-vis vest, gloves, and the angle grinders they'd used on the cases. These items were fast-tracked to labs for analysis. It was here in the sterile quiet of the lab that the ghost-like figures of the thieves started to get a face. Over 150 DNA samples and fingerprints were pulled from the items. This is the unglamorous, methodical core of modern police work. Not dramatic car chases, but microscopes, databases, and the patient work of piecing together microscopic clues. Each piece of evidence was a lottery ticket, and the investigators just needed one to hit the jackpot. And then they got it, a match. Forensic analysis linked the evidence to known criminals from Seine-Saint-Denis, a suburb northeast of Paris. Suddenly, the faceless gang had an identity. They weren't international super thieves, but men in their 30s, already known to police. The investigation, once a wide-ranging search, now had a laser focus. Police knew who they were looking for. The challenge was to find them before the priceless jewels were dismantled and lost forever. This kind of detailed investigation, turning a few discarded items into a full-blown manhunt, is what modern crime fighting is all about. If you find these stories as fascinating as we do, I make sure you're subscribed and have notifications turned on, because you won't want to miss what's coming up next. So this is really just fascinating. Whenever law enforcement can use science to catch criminals, it's a beautiful thing, right? And now, I always say on this show that investigation is two parts art and science, 50% art, 50% science. The science part was the DNA. The art now is how good the investigators are in the interview and interrogation process, in soliciting information and following up the timelines of where these two suspects who were arrested, where have they been in the last days, weeks, months before this robbery? Search warrants on their homes, laptops, cell phones, all of those things, investigation 101, 102, and all the way up to the top. And some of the answers, who are their associates? You don't think the other two perpetrators, as we say in New York City, are numbers in their cell phones? You bet. And these two were already known to police. So what does that tell us? Well, if they're known to police, who are their associates? Who have they been arrested with in the past? These are some of the art of investigation. Let's find out who they run with. Let's find out who they associate with. And chances are the people they associate with are the other perpetrators in this crime. So, folks, just to recap, 2 arrested in the Louvre robbery. Much more work to do. The goal, of course, is to recover these jewels. The goal is to get the other 2 perpetrators and potentially other members of organized crime who were involved or are still involved in this heist. So, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Bill Cannon from Police Off the Cuff, Real Crime Stories. Have a great day, everyone, and God bless.
One episode just ain't enough.